what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. It is time for our Wednesday night live stream. I am pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorns, the legend Bobby Burton, the young prodigy CJ Vogel. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Of course, you know how this works. We'll take all your questions, comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. So throw them out there. Super chats, jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time with a super chat, no matter what the topic is, no matter how awkward or crazy or wild the topic is. We'll address it. You know how that goes. And of course, plenty of talk about the biggest game in college football, one of the biggest games in the history of DKR Stadium. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Texas versus Georgia, top 5 matchup. Oh, yeah. Hey, man, D. Wiser in the building. Happy y'all could join us. Really excited about this. F1's going to be in town, so the town's going to be hopping. It's going to be a traffic Mageddon in Austin. We're going to have, actually, we'll give you some details about the live remote that we're going to have tomorrow for our own Texas football family. But, guys, how excited are you, man? What's the old Jim Harbaugh saying? Who's got it better than us?
Nobody. Except for that one part you just said, traffic Mageddon.
Yeah,
you know?
That's gonna be bad. That's gonna be
yeah,
bad.
it'll be horrible. Rod, I think that your take on how big a game this is. I've been covering Texas and I started at Texas in 1988. CJ, cover your ears. 1988, and there are a few games that have been really big in DKR. A few. I ain't not 5 to 10 in that time frame that have just been big. I think it's fair to say that this may be the biggest. I really do believe that from a expectation standpoint, from a where Texas is ranked and the opponent is ranked, the quality of the opponent, a big brand name, 2-time defending national champion. I mean, the only other national champion that really ever visited Austin before was Nebraska, Rod, back when they won it. I think Texas joined the Big 12. I mean, so because OU never came to town, and LSU, it was like 3 or 4 years removed from a national. Ohio State came in, but they hadn't won a national championship in a while.
Yeah,
just big stuff in my opinion. Big stuff for Texas and the fans. And everybody out there, it should be. I mean, I hope it lives up to the hype. That's all I got to say, because if it does, it's gonna be a hell of a football game.
I think it will live up to the hype, and I'm with you. I don't know if there's a bigger game. I know there was a 1 versus 2 in 2006, but you're right; it was a different feel after the
early season, non-conference.
Yeah, different feel to it. Different magnitude. I agree. It feels like that. CJ, you're a different generation. So for you, I mean, what are your thoughts about the magnitude of this matchup now settling in, getting closer to it as the weekend approaches?
Well, it's different in the sense that Texas has a number 1 by its name, right? And that's the biggest factor in this game when you kind of compare it to what else was on the table for previous games. Of course, that Notre Dame game felt big. It felt like USC was a large one for Texas to come in and kind of measure where they were on their way back to where they wanted to be. Right now, I feel like Texas is very close to where they want to be, if not already there, and that's in that national championship conversation, right? Of course, you got 6 more games or 6 more games later this season that you need to go out there and kind of prove yourself more so in the SEC that you are a championship level team, but it has that feel that this decides something. And all those games were great. They didn't decide anything. They were just, can Texas compete with other quality teams? This is Georgia's SEC championship game. Hopes, dreams on the line, and Texas, again, going up and playing the gold standard at home. I mean, it's huge for Texas. So it certainly, eclipses other home games that Texas has had in the past, at least that I can remember. I can't go all the way back to 2004 or 2005. I was basically, with a pacifier or whatever. I'm not going to say I was that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand the magnitude of those games. Now I do, and this certainly trumps whatever game you want to bring up in the last 15 years, head and shoulders over them.
Yeah. No. Notre Dame game was big, but that was after Texas won. you know, or during that game.
No, you're right about that. I didn't play in big games like this. Like when I played, we didn't have big home. Like Texas A&M was like a big home game back then. We beat Nebraska in 99. They were like number 3. They had, they were still a powerhouse, championship caliber program. But that was about it. You didn't have these types of matchups. Now you're in the SEC and you're scheduling some of those big time opponents. Yeah, man, I'm excited for the fans to get a chance to experience something like this. All right. Speaking of the fans, we're going to answer a lot of you guys' questions. We'll get to those here. Also, we'll get to the availability report. The first one comes out today. So we'll get to the update on the availability report for Texas and for Georgia. That could be big in this match. See, Matt's already working hard behind the scenes. See, already before I can even get it. There you go. The availability report for now. Looks like Georgia, Roderick Robinson, the running back, out. Smell Munden Jr., the third-year starting linebacker for them, out. That's big. He's been dealing with injuries for a couple of weeks now. Branson Robinson, another running back for them, is out. Tate Radlich, the all-world interior offensive line for them, he's out. And he's questionable, I should say that. Sorry, questionable. But he's been out, I should say, for the last couple of weeks for them. But questionable for this matchup. Jordan Hall, defensive lineman for them, is out. And Jared Wilson, offensive lineman for them, probable. Sorry about that. Jordan Hall is probable, along with Jared Wilson, also probable. For Texas, Derek Williams, C.J. Baxter, Christian Clark, Velton Gardner, and Trevor Gooseby all out. Isaiah Bond, questionable. He did practice, though. Sark did tell the media he practiced and thought he looked good in practice. So we don't know exactly what that means for him going forward, but questionable right now on the injury report. Guys, what are your thoughts? What's the biggest name on here? At least what name is going to impact the game the most that's on this availability report for either team, in your opinion?
The two guys, Tate Radlich and Jared Wilson on the offensive line for Georgia. They get those guys back. They've got 4 of their 5 starters back from what started the year. They don't. They're down to some backups there. I mean, the offensive coordinator's son has been the starting center for them a couple games this year. And he's okay, but he's not, he is who he is a little bit. For Texas, it's clearly Isaiah Bond, even though Trevor Gooseby is a little bit of a surprise addition to that list, guys. I didn't know he was bothered by any injury, but that had to be post Oklahoma. Isaiah Bond, questionable, clearly the one for the Longhorns to be concerned with at this point.
CJ, what are your thoughts? Real quick, though, before you give me your thoughts, CJ, to add to what Bobby said about Tate Radlich and Jared Wilson, the offensive linemen, who are one's probable, one's questionable for Georgia right now in this availability report. How about this stat? And this is a good one. The last 2 weeks, if you want to look at it, without Wilson and without Radlich, who are two of their best interior offensive linemen, their interior run game has really suffered as a result of it. Here is this stat comes from Sharp Football. Says here that if you look at the Georgia offensive line, the last 2 weeks without Wilson and Radlich, they've averaged 0.7 yards before contact in the gaps by the center and the right guard. In 2023, they were averaging 2.6 yards before contact. If you go look at it right now, Georgia's offense ranks 83rd in running back yards per attempt between the tackles.
That is crazy to me.
It's significant.
It is. They ranked last year. They were 11th. They were 16th in 2022. So that is so to Bobby's point, that's probably the most, because even for Texas, Isaiah Bond that's big, but you're deep in wide receiver. I mean, you're really deep. Ain't no replacing guys like Radlich and Jared Wilson for Georgia. Ain't no replacing Bond either, but at least you have ways to supplement the passing game, and you got depth there, you got options. They're running low and running out of options on that offensive line for Georgia. So it's crucial that at least one of those guys is available for him, CJ.
Yeah. Ratledge is the guy I don't think you will see on Saturday. Haven't talked to a guy connected to the Georgia program. He's been sidelined for quite some time over there. Wilson's a guy that I think has been sidelined the last 2 weeks, but is working his way back. Yeah. And if he's able to return, this is a big boost for Georgia's offensive line. Of course, you look at what they've been able to do, and most of their success has been passing the football. Rod, to your point, that running game, maybe not to the standards of what we've seen from the Todd Gurleys and, the Georgia backs of the last 6-7 years. But a lot of that starts with the upfront offensive line. So anytime you can return a starting caliber guy, you're going to take a step forward. On the Texas front, I'm with you, Bobby. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Trevor Gooseby. I'm not sure why or what caused him to be designated as out early on this week. Otherwise, I don't think there's any real surprises on this Texas health chart. It's really the shortest and the thinnest that we've seen it so far in the Wednesday update, which should be a positive. On Isaiah Bond, I've heard positives that he'll be ready to go. That's something that is, of course, very crucial for the Texas Longhorns' chances of being successful on Saturday. Texas is deep at wide receiver, Rod, but I don't think there's anybody right now that you could throw out there, with maybe the exception of a Ryan Wingo, that Georgia would have to say, okay, where's 7? Find 7 on the field. We've played him several times over the last couple of years. We know how fast he is. We've seen how impactful he can be. In this offense specifically, with him kind of being that quote-unquote wide receiver 1 for Texas, I think it's huge that he's on the field at some capacity for the Longhorns. And again, I've heard that he's going to be playing in this game at 100%. Maybe, maybe not. That's to be determined. But I don't think this is a game that he's going to be sitting out. Also, very positive note that Trey Wisner's not on this list. He was a guy that was maybe sore. I don't want to say dinged up, but certainly feeling it after that game against Oklahoma. And again, I think Jerry Hamilton has made this point a few times, is how many touches can you give a Wisner compared to a Blue? Because of that stature, because of that frame that he possesses, he's been very successful running between the tackles. But can you rely on him for 15-plus touches? That might be a fair question at only about 185, 190 pounds. I think, again, to not see him on this is a big, big positive for Texas.
That's a good point there. All right. Before we get to some of the questions, I know we got some super chats here, and we also will get to more Texas-Georgia preview. Let's thank one of our sponsors. Let's thank Andy Ludicky and his team for being a part of our team here at On Texas Football. If you're looking to diversify, you may be someone like me that has their hands in multiple businesses. Well, Andy can help you diversify by finding you businesses that will fit your time allotment and your financial goals. You can call him or email him to learn more. All you have to do is reach out today, 404-973-9901, or you can email him at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. So if you're stuck in the corporate rat race with 2 weeks PTO, no control over the money you make or your schedule in general, call Andy. He will take you through a process to help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your financial destiny, call Andy today and he'll give you a helping hand with that. Andy@myperfectfranchise.net, or give him a call at 404-973-9901. Thank you very much to Andy Ludicky and his team. All right, let's answer some questions from our team here at On Texas Football. Juan up first. Thank you for the super chat, Juan. Very gracious of you. Juan says, at Bobby and Rod, he mentioned CJ at the bottom there. He said, if you were in Sark's shoes, what's your pregame speech before you go to face Georgia? Oh, that's a good one there, man. I don't know. Do you have we heard about Sark's pregame speeches of any kind? Have we even gotten any? Has that any leaked out in the last 3 years? Anything about his pregame speech prowess? Does he have a good pregame speech? I don't know. He don't need it. He's a good coach. I'm just saying.
CJ, I don't know what you've heard, but he barks a little bit, like and I mean that he's that let's go kind of guy. You know what I mean? It's not it's not the hey, let's go have a good time, everybody try hard. It's more that barking. Yeah. Now, I don't have a specific story to tell you, like any good one-liners, but that's my understanding. Okay. He's more of that, let's go out there and show what we got kind of guy.
The thing I like about Sark is, and he mentioned this leading up to Oklahoma's, it's if I'm the one that needs to get these guys pumped up, I'm doing something wrong in the week leading up. And I think this will be another similar situation where the magnitude of the game, it precedes anything that Sarkisian needs to say, right? And that's something that I think he and his staff have done a great job of, making and finding an importance for with this locker room is, this is a big game. And if I'm the one that needs to tell you that it is a big game, then I don't know if this is the place you need to be playing football right now.
And that's
right.
the thing about that's a great point though, CJ, because ultimately, that I think the player should be a player that should be given as coach. A coach is gonna say something for every game. Every game, coach gonna say something. All right. But for him to give the Al Pacino any given Sunday style speech at the end, maybe you get that, but usually coaches don't give you a few choice words, boom, boom, boom. Like Bobby said, in his tone, maybe he's hype, maybe it's more, monotone, whatever it is, and then you're going. Usually it was that player who's the leader. Which player do you think on this team has number one earned the right? Because you can't just be talking before Texas, Georgia. You can't be talking about ULM. Anybody can give a speech before the ULM game. But before Texas, Georgia, you better have, they paid the cost. You got to be somebody with a lot of street cred and credibility and clout. What player can give the speech before the Texas, Georgia game?
I've got two, one on each side of the ball. I think Jake Majors is that elder statesman. I think he's the guy that kind of gets that room pumped up specifically. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think it's Barron Sorrell.
That was mine. Yep.
I think he's the guy that, even dating back a little bit to last year, going into the spring specifically, his leadership capabilities are tenfold what they were even 2 or 3 years ago. So he's that guy for me that you might expect him on that front line, but he absolutely is a vocal guy for the Texas Longhorns.
Like that. Yep. We were thinking the same way about that on the defensive line there with Barron Sorrell. All right. Thank you for that super chat. Great conversation. Greg C. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it there. Says, will Coleman be able to help on the D-line early? I imagine this is recruiting.
Yeah. I mean, so there's Coleman triplets that are committed to Texas from Cedar Hill. 2 of them are offensive linemen and one of them's a defensive lineman. I don't know that early on. I mean, he's just a senior in high school. I don't know. And he's going to be a walk-on. I don't know that he would be expected to help early. Greg C.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Don't know yet.
Yeah, let's see where that goes.
Thank you for the super chat, Greg. We appreciate that. Before we get to some of the questions here, how about get you guys' thoughts about the line on this game, which has moved somewhat, I would say considerably, considering, Texas playing at home against a top 5.
Pretty considerable.
And they're not in the middle of their dynastic run. They're at the end of it, but still they're on a dynastic run still.
Are they at the end of it though? I mean,
that's a great point. It looked a good point. We don't know if they're at the end of it. It just looks as flawed as we've seen it. And usually when the dynasty starts looking this flawed, it's at the tail end of it. It's like, it seems, but you're right, Bobby. I don't know that. See, now I'm being arrogant and I don't want to come back. Bobby does not want us to get overconfident, and this line is not helping. So basically, Bobby, on all the text chains, Bobby's paranoid about any overconfidence, and for all of us, we're like, oh no, Texas has the advantage. And Bobby's like, whoa, no, slow down. So here is the Circle Sports says that they had a line. The line went from 3 to 3.5 to 4 to 5 to 5.5, and then back down to 5. That's what Circle Sports claims here.
And pretty significant for a game like this.
Yes. So the line is at, I believe now it's hovering around 5. I haven't looked at it in a couple hours. CJ, you let me know if it's changed, because I know you pay attention to that kind of stuff. I know Bobby's paranoid about it. To get your thoughts, CJ, first, because I can tell Bobby's brewing back there. What are your thoughts about the line moving? Me and you were pretty confident in the Longhorns being just a better team.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts about this line? Would you put money on it?
No. No. But I'm going to have a score prediction, and we went over it earlier, Rod, that it's going to cover this spread. Still, however, it's one of those things where you're going to need immense confidence in one team to cover a 5-point spread against a top 5 Kirby Smart team. And I have confidence in Texas. I don't think it's enough to put my money where my mouth is. And also, one of the other rules I've got is never to bet on Texas. I've learned that in college. I've learned that right out of college.
That's smart.
Now you probably are making some good coin if you're betting on the Longhorns every weekend. But it's one of those rules that I've got is don't bet on Texas. So I do like Texas at 3. I don't necessarily hate them at 5, but I don't know if I'm going to be the one making that bet there. We can get into this because I see a super chat coming up, but I don't know if Georgia's the best defense we've played, or Texas will play this year. I don't know if that's the case. It's still Georgia. I get it. But for that reason, I see why the line's moving to 5 right now.
Yeah. It's Bobby, your thoughts about it? Like I said, I see some at 5.5 on the Vegas Insider. This thing is crazy. What are your thoughts about the line shifting in Texas' favor even more?
Dude, I've got such battered fan syndrome. It's hard. I mean, I try to have a very realistic view of Texas. I really do, guys. I mean, go to every open practice, every opportunity I get, to watch what I think's going on. And, and we've chronicled how good Texas has become. Pretty well here. I think we've been really fair about that and what they can do and what they can't do. I use this term, but I really believe it. I pinch myself a little bit when I think back to look, this is the same coach that went into Arkansas 3 years ago and got taken to the woodshed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same group that couldn't stop the run 3 years ago to save their neck. Same group that had to run the ball 20 consecutive times to beat Baylor one time. Had to beat Iowa State on a last-minute. They're not that far removed from that. We're just not. And so when you start talking about a team now and a program that is clearly ascended, and I get it, right? And I believe in them. It's just hard to come to level with reality because you remember those times when Texas played. I mean, when Kansas scored 57 points 2.5 years ago. I mean, right? I mean, do you not remember those things?
I remember it, yeah.
And so, all that being said, where Sark has taken this program, I get it, and I understand the confidence. Texas has every reason to be confident. And we were talking about this earlier on Coffee and Football, guys, or State of the Program. I can't remember which. I mean, Texas is 17-1 in the last 18 regular season games.
That's crazy.
I mean,
that's crazy.
To be a student now.
Yeah. But so I get why people are confident, right? I mean, everybody should be. But now the stakes keep getting raised. First it's go to Michigan. Now you're hosting one of the teams that's one of the best programs in the country over the last half dozen years. Yeah, and guys like Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill, those guys help me forget too. And I understand it's about the players. Ryan Wingo helps me forget. Isaiah Bond, Quinn Ewers, Kelvin Banks, and Cam Williams. So I get it. But it's still one of those things that it is a process. And Texas is now clearly, to Rod's point earlier, they're building and have built to this moment. They're the number one team in the country for a reason. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the one voting on them. I don't vote in the AP poll.
Yeah.
I vote in the coaches poll. Other people see them that way.
No, it is remarkable. Like I said, if I had told you prior to the season in that Texas-Georgia game, it'll be number 1 versus number 5, and it'll be showcasing the number 1 defense in college football. You'd have been like, yeah, of course, Georgia going to be number 1 with the number 1 defense in college football. You're like, no. Actually, Texas going to be number 1 with the number 1 defense. You're like, nah, that doesn't sound right. Not yet, but it is. So I'm with you. It's, like I say, it's a beautiful reality. It seems surreal a little bit that it happened so fast, but I'll give Sark and the staff and the players a lot of credit, man. It's a remarkable turnaround so fast. It is.
Surreal is a great word, Rod, for that. Yeah. That's how it feels to me. Because I feel like I'm in Fayetteville, last week.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. Because these games all come together for me.
Yep. No. It's like I said, it's fun to talk about because, the Longhorn, I think we haven't seen it tested to this degree, but I think we all know it's for real. Like you said, how many, you said, 18-1 the last, how many, what is it?
Well, I didn't go back to 3 years ago. I think they're 17-1 because they're 6-0 this year, and we're 11-1 regular season last year.
Yeah, so in the yeah, you're right. Yeah,
17. I mean, think about. From 5-7,
5-7,
and losing and giving up 50-something to Kansas.
That was the worst. You don't realize that was like the biggest upset in Big 12 history.
No, we realized.
It was like the history of the Big 12, and then now riding high as number one. Man, just said you got to give him a ton of credit. Seems like a movie at some point.
I love what Steve Jenkins says there. Don't worry how we got here. Be glad we are here.
Amen to that, brother.
Be where your feet are. I agree, Steve Jenkins.
I love that. All right, William has a super chat here. Thank you, William, for the super chat. We appreciate it. He said, not sure if you guys have covered this, but how does Georgia's and Oklahoma's defenses compare position by position? CJ, we talked about this a little bit, and just how in terms of the strengths of the defenses being very different, almost like the identity. The Oklahoma defense has an identity, it feels like.
Yep.
And I don't know if Georgia's defense has one. That's it's a weird thing to say, but you kind of get what I'm talking about there in terms of the identity of it.
Yeah, we talked about it, and I think we both kind of agreed it's hard to put your finger on one specific aspect of the Georgia defense, right? Yes. With Oklahoma, they take the ball away better than anybody in the country. Oh. With Michigan, it's that front seven and those defensive tackles starting out. I mean, it's tough to figure out a way to move the football going between the tackles. With Georgia, I don't know, and I feel so bizarre saying that, but again, I mean, it's weird because you allow 31 to Mississippi State, you allow 40 to Alabama. I know Alabama's a heck of a football team with a great offense and a great coordinator, but that's not the Georgia defense that we've seen over their run over the last 4 years, right? And what I think about Georgia is elite defensive line play with tremendously fast linebackers right behind them, create and go down the field or come up field and make plays. And that's just not Georgia right now this year. I read these off on the preview, Rod, but I want to go back to them. Georgia's 52nd in tackles for loss. It's okay. It's not great. Georgia's 79th in sacks. That's pretty bad for Georgia. Yeah. Georgia's 110th in takeaways. Where's their negative plays right now? You don't see them. And I think that's a big question mark. Of course, Smail Mondon's not expected to play. He's their starting middle linebacker over the last this past season. He's been out for a few weeks now. I understand that's a big part of that, but they've got guys, they've got talent, but you're not seeing the negative plays. Whereas against Oklahoma, you see the turnovers. Against Michigan, you see the pressure on the quarterback and the sacks, and you're not able to run against that team. Texas, last 2 games, 11 sacks. They're getting 30 pressures on Oklahoma. They're finding ways to be and live in the backfield right now. And you look at Georgia's leading edge rusher right now, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, 3 sacks, 13 pressures over 6 games. I don't know if that lines up with what we've seen out of Georgia's best defensive end over the last few years, but that feels pretty light to average 2 pressures a game and half a sack over the first 6 games at Georgia. I don't want to get ahead of my skis right now, but I don't know what their strength is other than sound defense with a lot of good athletes running around.
That's kind of what I agree with. Good point.
I got to add, so first of all, and I'm not sure, was Mikel Williams on their injury?
He wasn't. I didn't see him on there. I didn't see him on there, Bobby, actually.
There's your pass rusher.
Yeah. He's the dude.
Yeah, no, he's Colin Simmons with 1 more year or 2 more years ahead of him. I mean, he's an elite dude.
He's been dealing with an injury, I think, most of the year. He's been hurt most of the year.
He's been pretty hamstrung this year. He's got 5 pressures in 4 games so far. So what we expected, again, with Mikel Williams, with Smail Mondon, with Malachi Starks in the back end, those are your big, heavy hitters. And again, you just haven't seen them, whether it be injuries, whether it be just not living up to it. I think Starks is a heck of a football player. Yes. But even then, there's been moments where you looked at this Georgia defense, especially that first half against Alabama, and you said, I don't know. And Mississippi State, 31 points from, Michael Van Buren, his second career start on the road. Who would have expected that? It wasn't me coming out of that Texas game.
Yeah, it says here that Williams only played 17 snaps total over the last 2 games as he's nursing an ankle injury he suffered against Clemson. That would be their guy, though. I mean, I'm just telling you now, he's a stud. My different, I want to say something a little differently about how Brent Venables approaches defense compared to how Will Muschamp and Kirby Smart approach defense. Venables is very willing to play games, like a lot of them.
Yeah.
Different looks, multiple looks. Muschamp, they've got dudes, in their opinion. And so they're going to line up, and they'll disguise some things, but they're not going to run a 3-3-5. They're not going to go with a 3 high safety just to confuse Texas and then confuse themselves. That I don't see them being as multiple with their play calling and disguising as much overall as Oklahoma. Venables likes to do that because, I mean, Venables is all about the high IQ player, right? In my opinion, that's what he looks like in his back seven. Whereas Georgia, they want those long corners that can just man up.
Yep.
And that means you play a different style of football, a different style of defense. So that's my answer to that about.
And the question is, which one matches up with Sark's offensive ideology the best? And you might
be better to answer that than anybody.
Honestly, I feel like a Venable style may actually counter it a little bit better.
I do too.
Than the straight up style of, because it's basically Kirby Smart's defense is a cousin of the Saban defense. I mean, they're related. And Sark, I'm gonna say Sark knew the loopholes and he knew where to exploit and the vulnerabilities within that Saban defense. He knew, he picked one. And even Saban has admitted on the record, I'll pull out the quote here soon. Remember, he said, I hate playing and coaching against Sark. I hate it. And he said it was because of the squeeze splits, the condensed and compressed sets. But he was just talking about, I think he was talking about overall and because of some of those cheat codes that Sark uses. So I almost feel like the Venable style of defense counters Sark's deep offense a little bit better.
It's very similar to what they do at Iowa State.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. I totally agree with you. Yes.
I mean, give him a bunch of different looks so he has to poke through his playbook 2 or 3 more series as opposed to know what he's going to get straight out of the gate.
That's a great comparison, Bob. They hit the nail on the head with that one. Totally agree. All right, getting back to the super chats here. Thank you guys for the super chats. This is from Aggie _grad_0_percenter. Thank you for the super chat. Said, love those live streams. Who are y'all most surprised from and on developmental level from this team? Guys, y'all are surprised by current contributions. Guys, okay, thank you for the super chat. So who are y'all most surprised by from an on developmental level from this team? Who is, I mean, honestly, is Gunnar Helm probably the Gunnar Helm, I think I feel like we should all have that Shaq meme. You hear that Shaq meme where he's like, hey man, I apologize for underestimating your talent and your skill set. I feel like we should all have that meme about Gunnar Helm. I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. That's how I feel about Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm now is, I saw Jim Nagy actually tweet out about him. I mean, this guy now, some people are saying is a mid-round pick in the draft. Like he's going to be a third. Yes, this is my Gunnar Helm meme for the rest of the season. I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game, bro. I apologize. Dude, he looks like an NFL tight end who can not only beat one-on-one coverage if he needs to, but he's got good yak yards. He's trying to hurl another defender in the OU game. I was like, well, who is this dude?
Hey, Jerry's right about that. He needs to retire that one.
I agree.
The hurdle is now on tape. He needs to retire that one.
Yeah, no doubt. But to me, he's the guy.
Hey, Rod, to your point, Helm's the guy, the 4-year guy, the long developmental cycle that we've seen kind of amp up every year a little bit more.
The Christian Jones story. That guy.
Great point. Yeah. That's the one. The one overtime. Barron is one.
That's a good one.
But he's still growing. Vernon Brott. How about some young ones? Cam Williams. How about young ones? How about Trey Wisner?
Yeah.
Do you think he was going to be your lead running back?
No.
Heading into Game 7?
Didn't see it.
Wouldn't have thought that. How about this? How about Leonga Lafau starting at middle linebacker maybe?
CJ saw it. I'll give CJ credit. CJ's been talking about Leonga Lafau since the offseason, and he said, that's my guy that's going to end up starting at linebacker with Anthony Hill. I'll give him credit. He's the only one that saw it like that. Good for you, CJ.
Blind squirrel.
Yeah, and then the other one I had that is kind of a developmental story, and he's just a piece of the puzzle, is Juan Davis.
That is good.
I mean, Juan Davis was on the cusp of transferring this spring because he didn't think he was going to get a chance to play. They went and got Amari Knight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is there a spot for me here?
Yeah.
Yeah. The answer is yes, Juan. There is.
Yeah. It's a big one too.
And so congrats. Those are the guys, y'all mentioned some of the older guys, and I agree with them all. Those are some of the younger guys too. I mean, DeAndre Moore is going to end up being a developmental guy because he's going to Jerry uses the term maximizing your potential as the thing that separates, 90. Look, there are guys like Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons that may still make the NFL if they don't maximize. May still make the NFL, right? Because they're that talented. The rest of humanity has to maximize.
I will have to maximize. Yeah, I know that story.
Fast as you were, you had to maximize.
Yep.
And that's the difference. And so when we start talking about these guys like that, I love talking about those guys because, frankly, that's one of the things that's fun about following the Longhorns. You see if you get into it enough, you see who comes in as a freshman, and then you see it over time. So good stuff. I'm happy for those guys. Jake Majors. I mean, geez.
Man, you're right.
He's in the Remington.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're right, but that's a good point. Jake Majors, and he's easily the most underappreciated player on the team, and he has been just for the last 2 years. Hey, think about having a fourth-year starting center. We brag about the third-year starting quarterback, fourth-year starting center. That's a blessing, man. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So, good question there, Aggie grad 0%. Appreciate that. Mike, appreciate the super chat here. Mike says, comes down to O-line recruiting, not only the best talent, but the right talent. Culture matters. It does. It does. You're right about that. There's a great scene in that movie. It's called Miracle, the one about the Miracle on Ice. And,
Brooks.
Yeah, right. Okay. Now you might be familiar with the scene. It's a great scene where the assistant coach is looking over the roster. And he's looking over the roster that the coach picked. And he's like, Coach, you're missing all the best guys. He's like, I ain't looking for the best guys, Coach. I'm looking for the right guys. It's a great line. And that's kind of feel like Texas is about this. Like, no, I'm not looking for the best. I'm looking for the right guys. It helps that they're both, honestly, like that both. Mike's got another one here. Mike, thank you for the super chat. He says, not moving away from Kelvin Banks, Cam Williams, etc., and sticking with your plan and not going to plan B's, C's, etc., such as a vast improvement over Charlie and Tom. Development. You're right about that. That is the biggest difference in what Sark is doing and any other coaches is development, period.
It's been huge. It's been night and day. Again, we just rattled off about 7 names that, coming in, we didn't know if they were going to be contributors for Texas. And here you are saying, well, 4 years later for Jake Majors, he might be winning the award for his overall position. A year ago, you saw that exact situation play out with T'Vondre Sweat. So, and even Jonathan Brooks, right? Because it took him some time to get onto the field with Bijan and Roschon ahead of him. So that's one of those things right now. And Alan McAda, I see your comment about Jordan Johnson-Rubel. He might be next up of that young bunch to start surprising some folks. Injury, unfortunate for Derek Williams, will be out for the remainder of the year. That is a brilliant football player with Jordan Johnson-Rubel. Everything that he does is cerebral. It's up front. He diagnoses, and he's very instinctual, and that's part of going to IMG. So you saw 20 snaps from him against Oklahoma this past weekend. With no Derek Williams for the remainder of the year, he's going to be a guy that's thrown into that rotation a little bit. And moving forward, that staff trusts his instincts. They trust him as a football player. Now it's time to go put it on the tape and prove that you can be a pretty good freshman impact guy for the Texas defense.
I liked it. All right, Jeff, super chat here. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. He says, Bobby, I think you need to open up your Nashville party to On Texas Football members. Where's the love for us?
Hey, we're going to have a party. I just don't know where yet. We're trying to settle that. But Texas plays, obviously, Vanderbilt in a week and a half here in Nashville. And we're going to probably have it at Centennial Park, which is right next to Vanderbilt Stadium. But I'm trying to get all the permits, et cetera, lined up. But, Jeff, hopefully you'll be able to come up. Everybody will be ready for the Longhorns to head to Vanderbilt. But right now, let's be clear. There's one game that's ahead of us, and that's just the Georgia Bulldogs 3 days away. Hey, Rod, I want to take a second and say thank you to one of our sponsors, Carrot Concierge, if you don't mind. If you're looking for the right gift for the woman in your life, make sure you check out the carrotconcierge.com. Jody Reynolds is a personal jeweler. She is the Carrot Concierge with an office right there in Westlake. Jody focuses on helping purchase the special gift for the woman in your life. You can use the QR code on the screen to see even more, or visit her on Instagram or her website, thecarrotconcierge.com as well. Jody prides herself in providing personal service. She takes the extra steps to make sure your lady gets exactly what she wants. And because she doesn't have the overhead of a storefront, she often can get higher quality inventory at lower prices, as much as 30% less than what you'd see at a jewelry store. So if you're looking for something special, birthday, anniversary, what have you, and with Christmas right around the corner, Jody has a variety of tennis bracelets, rings, necklaces, and more. All beautiful jewelry, all personalized for you and yours. Check out thecarrotconcierge.com. Visit her website or give her a call or text and take care of that special someone in your life.
All right. Thank you for that, Bobby. I'm actually reaching out to the Carrot Concierge. Wifey's got a birthday coming up and I need some help. All right. Juan, thank you for the super chat. Says Texas is 0-3 at home when College Game Day has come to town. LSU 2018, Bama 22, TCU 2022. He says Texas is 2-0 on the road when College Game Day is there. 2023 Bama, 2024 Michigan. Something's got to give. All right.
That may be the last three and the last two, but Texas has won multiple home games when College Game Day has come to Texas.
I would even
College Game Day is not 5 years old.
Draw the line at 23 and beyond, because as you said, Bobby, 17-1 the last 18 regular season games. Whatever happened before then, let's throw that out the window, because we're seeing a whole different team, right? This is the Texas that we've seen that most resembles 2024. So I'm rocking with those 23 and 24 games that we've seen so far, and that hey, fingers crossed for that to be a 3-0, right?
Yeah,
yep. They're 2-0 right now.
Who's going to be the guest picker for College Game Day for Texas then? Who's the
it would be great.
Matthew McConaughey. He's always there all the time.
I would love it, and I don't know if it's a possibility with schedules lining up or whatnot, but if it was Sam Ehlinger, I think that would be great. The last quarterback beat Georgia coming in, that, I think it'd be cool. You got some storylines there against Georgia.
I like that, actually. That's not bad. I didn't think about that. I like that. I'm trying to know who's done it last. Didn't one of the the actors? What's the guy?
Lynn Powell.
Yes, there you go. See, you know him. Yes, he's the guy that had the movie with Sydney Sweeney on it, and he's in a new Twister, I think. But he has done it already. Scotty Scheffler did Scotty Scheffler do it? Has he done it?
No, I don't know. I'd love to see KD do it too. I know he'd be talking to Storm on that set.
That would be nice. Yeah, he's in preseason, but it's preseason.
My wish is something different, and my wish is for I'm not this or that about the game day picker, but I want it to be Eminem that leads them out on the field with a little lose yourself. He's going to be in town on Saturday night
under the lights.
Maybe do that as they get onto the go onto the turf. I don't know.
I kind of like that.
Good, wouldn't it, Rod?
Yeah, I kind of like that.
That's
oh, that's good. Yeah, that's actually, now you got me pumped up thinking about the song too. I can hear that. Oh, that's great. Now you're talking about something right there. Texas can get that done. Now they got to pay top dollar, but hey, if you want to impress all the recruits, they're going to be there. Matter of fact, we got to talk recruiting. Actually, the biggest recruiting weekend in Texas football history. Would Eminem do it? I don't know if the young kids are they still Eminem. I like Eminem, but I'm old.
Oh, that was my question. How many of these young kids are still bumping Eminem? If I hear "Lose Yourself," however, I mean
bumping.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know. That's a good point. I'm not cool enough to know, so CJ probably would. How about this Texas boy? Hey, Texas boy, thank you for the super chat. Says Nick said Smart would struggle with our offense. Yes, he did. In fact, I'm gonna get that quote right now because I remember he said this actually during, if I'm not mistaken, it was on SEC Media Days, and I remember him talking about the different offenses. And here's the quote: Nick Saban on Sark's offenses and how he hates going against them. Quote: I kind of always hated playing against Sark. in practice for several years, as well as when we played them the past couple of years, because they do such a good job with what I call squeeze splits. We play in this day and age where people take these huge splits like Tennessee, which that's a problem too. Players, especially DBs, are not used to playing when you have squeeze splits because you put them in unfamiliar positions, whether it's run support or how they cover. When you're in squeeze splits, how can this guy get to that side of the field quickly, which messes up your pattern matches? So I always hated playing against Texas. And this is the key part, guys. And Kirby Smart has got some of the same issues that we had, because their defenses are related. They're cousins, essentially. And he's saying my defense had trouble and issues with those squeeze splits and condensed sets, and they're going to have issues with it too. I promise you. Because it presents a lot of problems for defenses. So there you go. That's the quote Texas was referring to, I believe it was.
Let's see if Kirby and Will Muschamp and Glenn Schumann have anything to say about it and maybe change some things up. Maybe they've held something back. You know, they played Mississippi State. They weren't real worried about that game last week. Maybe they've got something in store like Venables did.
Yeah. I respect Kirby Smart and Muschamp defensive prowess. So I agree with you on that. They're going to have something for Texas. We just don't know how they're going to break tendency. All right, Jarrett, thank you for the super chat. Jarrett says, CJ, are you a superstitious gambler when it comes to betting on Texas? He has admitted that, yes.
If superstitious is just not doing it, then yes. That's one of the best ways to keep your happiness and your sanity. It's one thing if Texas loses, right? It's another thing if you're losing some dollars after that as well. You got to sit and look at the bank account. It's like, oh. So yeah, we just don't bet on Texas in this household.
I like that. All right, let's get to like I said, Bobby can't stand if Texas wins by 3 scores. Oh,
you won't need a keg. The keg will be empty.
Yeah, they win by 3 scores, and Bobby's gonna start partying. They're winning by that much. I do feel like Texas could get up in this game, and I feel like there's gonna be a Georgia comeback. I don't know why I've been feeling like that all week. I feel like Texas is going to get up, and then because Texas is used to getting up in these games, all right, a little bit, and then they're not used to a team having first of all, the firepower to be able to fight back and having that fight in them, like the championship pedigree that Georgia has to fight back. I feel like Texas is going to get up, and I'm not saying get up big. I'm not saying they're going to be up three touchdowns. I'm not saying that, but I feel like they may even get up 10 points on them. Maybe 10, 13 points, and then Georgia just battles back. I feel like that could happen in this matchup.
That happened against Alabama for 28, right? You know, it's one of those things where you're going to have to keep your foot on the gas pedal here if you're Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers, you know, and to their credit, they've played well in the third quarter for most of these games. And a working man, good luck walking back into work with a suit and tie the next day if that's the case.
How does your significant other feel about that? You're gonna get nipple piercings because of Texas football. You need to make sure your significant other is on board with that decision. All right, Eric, thank you for the super chat, Eric. We appreciate you. What's up, fellas? Do we think the offense starts to resemble more of what Sark originally envisioned for this year with CJ Baxter now that Wisner is seemingly hitting his stride? This is a good question. Which one you guys want to take? I'll just throw this out there. I don't think it's going to go back to what he originally envisioned, but I do think Wisner gets an expanded role and gets more rush attempts. But I don't know if it goes back to what he initially envisioned. That's a good question, though, Eric.
It's close. It's close. I still think that CJ Baxter would have provided the most out of Texas running back in this offense. And again, Wisner is the closest thing that you can have to a guy in this room right now, giving you that inside running threat. And it's been showing up since Michigan, essentially. Still, Trey's he's a bit limited in pass protection. He's a bit limited going out in routes. I think you look at it in the sense that Jaden Blue is probably the guy that you'd prefer to throw to with that ability in space. But to Trey's credit, I mean, every time that he's had the ball in his hands, you don't see him go down very easily. You rarely ever see him go down by that first guy that contacts him. Still, I lean that ceiling coming into the year would have been at its ultimate maximum highest with Baxter, but Wisner, again, doing a tremendous job filling the shoes. It just changes a little bit about what Texas could do early in the year. And now that they're finding that stride, how can they build off of the success without getting predictable? That's going to be a big key moving forward.
Yep. Good stuff there. I'll say I don't know, Bobby, you got thoughts on it? Because I think Texas, like I said, they've been a high early down pass rate in 4 out of the 6 games, right? They've been above 60% on first down, second down, first half pass rate. The only 2 games where they weren't, Arch's first start and last game against Oklahoma, because Quinn was off. And Sark decided, I'm adjusting. I'm not going to put it in Quinn's hands because he's having a little bit of an off game. He started off, so I'm going to try to get this run game going. So they didn't rely on the pass. But I think Sark, is leaning toward being a pass first team, a pass that opens up the run, and the run is complementary to that. And I think with CJ Baxter, if he was healthy, I think Sark envisioned a more balanced attack. And I have actually been complimentary of Sark to abandon your, obviously his, dreams of moderation and balance in the offense. To hell with that, right? Go with what your opponents fear the most, and they fear that passing game. They fear your wide receivers. They fear your quarterback room. They fear that offensive line. And I think he has gone down that path so far. But with Trey Wisner ascending, I just think that Trey Wisner runs your best run play better than anybody else on the team, which is your outside zone, a wide zone. That's your bread and butter run play, and he is most compatible with that run play. And that's why his patience and vision is why he's got to play more. He's got to get more attempts.
Yeah, the difference is that Cedric Baxter would run a lot of inside zone. Yeah, and you're not going to run a lot of inside zone with Wisner or Jaden Blue. Just not. You're going to have to use Jarrett Gibson on that, and that is becoming a little bit of a tell, in my opinion, with Steve Sarkisian. It happened on Saturday against Oklahoma. Jarrett Gibson comes in, they run inside zone, he gets tagged for a 1-yard loss. It's a tell right now because that's all that he's asking him to do. So that would be the one thing that I would say that, and I'm not so sure. And I would argue this. I'm not so sure that Wisner doesn't run outside zone better than Cedric Baxter. I just think you can run him more frequently. You can run Baxter more frequently in that than you can Wisner.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't worry about giving 17 to 22 carries to Cedric Baxter. You get above 15 with Trey Wisner, and you're reaching capacity at some level. That's the concern, right? So can't be as one inside zone. You can't run inside as well.
I love your inside zone point, and that actually against Georgia, I will say Kirby Smart was asked in his one of his media availabilities earlier this week. I think he was asked by Brooks Austin, if I'm not mistaken. He does like film study. And he asked him about the wide zone, the outside zone. And Kirby Smart essentially said, I'm not giving you my trade secrets. I'm not going to give away game plan and stuff like that. But they're one of the best in the country at running the wide and outside zone. And he said they're really tough to stop, which basically means it's top of mind for him. He's going to have a plan on how to stop the wide zone. He's going out. Is it going to work? I don't know. But he will have a plan on how to neutralize the split wide zone. And to Bobby's point, you may have to pivot to some other run concept that works if they're going to stop your outside and wide zone. If they're going to, have a good game plan for it. So something to keep in mind. All right, good stuff there. Let me read another. Let me give a shout out to our sponsor really quickly, Home Field Apparel, before we move on here. Home Field Apparel is focused, ladies and gentlemen, on creating officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. That's right. They have a wide range of available colleges, 180 plus and counting. They have a can't miss kickoff campaign for the season with football boxes and coaches jackets and bomber jackets. I mean, they got great inventory here, folks. Right now, their football boxes contain 3 never before seen items. Can't get them anywhere else other than Home Field Apparel, homefieldapparel.com. Also, Platinum Box VIPs receive additional exclusive items, new hat or ringer for Platinum VIPs only. The 224 Platinum Pass also guarantees you 20% off early access. And also, you can get these items for a 15% off if you use the code Texas24. That's right, Texas24. Use that code and you'll get 15% off at homefieldapparel.com. The convenience of online shopping has never been better thanks to homefieldapparel.com. Go check out their vintage designs today at homefieldapparel.com and use the code Texas24 for 15% off. And thanks to them for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. All right, getting to a couple of questions here. We'll try to rapid fire these. I know we're getting close to the end of our live stream here. Synthetic Gaming Network said, what do we think the attendance will be in DKR this weekend? Do they set the record? Is that just assume they set the attendance record this weekend?
If you could buy a ticket to get in, I mean, it's like $400 minimum on StubHub.
Dang.
Right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can't afford it.
cheap seats. I'm talking about that's the cheap seats.
So, and honestly, Bobby, I bet it's even hard to get on the sideline. Do you know that a lot of former players who are used to just getting on the sideline and getting some access? Not in this game, nah, man. It's only for the star players on the sideline. So VY can get there and guys, but trust me, you can't just be a jabroni. It'd be hard for Rod B to get on the side. Anybody on the sideline these days. All right. How about this question here? It says, Lojan says, can y'all talk about the O-line next year if we lose the guys we think we will? This gets back to Blake Monroe had a cool tweet earlier today. I guess I shouldn't even say tweet because it's not Twitter anymore. I sound old. But either way, Blake posted something on X from an ESPN mock draft. You know, they have these way, way, way too early mock drafts. But in the way too early mock draft that Blake posted, that Kelvin Banks, of course, going in the first round. Everybody knows that. It's been a first round since his freshman year. But also had Cam Williams as a first round projected tackle. I mean, Texas have 2 tackles in the first round. That's unbelievable. That's unfathomable considering the offensive.
Could be a reason why they're favored against Georgia.
Maybe that's why the wide zones work so well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Start thinking about that. I mean, maybe. I mean, did you see Kelvin Banks, by the way, against on the long Wisner touchdown run?
On the second level out there, I saw him.
No, he moved Ethan Downs out of the way going horizontal. I mean, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. That kind of effort. And it may have been the first run, not the second run, Rod, that I'm talking about, where he cut back right off of Banks's rear end. Banks went horizontal to move Downs out of the hole with a push. I was like, that's not, offensive linemen aren't supposed to like levitate sideways, And I was like, you got to be kidding me. He's a great player. Kelvin Banks,
football player.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Yeah,
he understands. He understands blocking too. I mean, a lot of these guys are huge. They don't necessarily understand the game.
Yeah,
he understands the game.
I agree with that. Yeah. From a cerebral standpoint. Yeah, but to that point about the question, let's say Cameron Williams is. I mean, if he's projected to be even in the first 2 rounds, I think he probably would leave. I mean, I'll think about it anyway. But so what if, let's just say, all those guys leave? Then Jake Majors is gone too. That's 3 on the old line. That's leaving.
It's gonna be 5. Hayden Connor, and maybe DJ Campbell too, Rod.
Wow.
DJ Campbell gets a mid-round grade. I bet he leaves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. They've got some good pieces to the puzzle, but I think they need to figure out who's going to be left tackle. And as of right now, that would be Trevor Gooseby, okay, in my opinion. But there's going to be competition at that position this offseason. Absolutely. They're going to see if Brandon Baker can play left tackle. They're going to see if other guys, Jaden Chapman, then you have center with Connor Robertson, or do you go with Cole Hudson? Or is Daniel Cruz ready? I mean, the only one that I would say for sure is a for sure starter, someone on that offensive line next year, would be Cole Hudson. And I would probably go with Brandon Baker, also a likely starter. After that, I wouldn't, Trevor Gooseby's going to have to win that job. Whoever the left guard is going to be, could be anybody. Yeah, it's a hard question, and frankly, that's why 26 or 25 doesn't necessarily look as good as 24, even though you have a lot of pieces of the puzzle coming back overall, this offensive line is experienced and old, and going to graduate. And the ones that aren't old are going to leave early, most likely.
Yeah. Fortunately, you're going to have a quarterback that's more likely than not able to move better than we've seen and throw on the run better than we've seen than quarterbacks previously. So that's going to supplement some of that pressure that's bound to come because of inexperience and youthfulness. So that's, again, kind of how it offsets. But to your point, and especially in the run game, you'd like to have those big guys that have, kind of made their money moving other big humans around like we've seen this year. So it'll be a learning curve. Fortunately, months away. Who cares? We'll deal with that in the offseason, right? We got Georgia right now.
Let's keep playing with 2 first-round offensive tackles for as long as we can.
Amen to that. Yeah, I was getting sad talking about that topic. Now, why am I getting sad? Okay, then let's get to something more optimistic, something more upbeat here.
I want to know if there's any you talk about it being unfair, college football being inherently unfair. Are there any NFL teams that have 2 first-round tackles? I mean, just think about it. I mean, are there?
Who's the
maybe somebody traded for somebody, but it's very rare. Is my point.
I'm sure there are, but yeah, you're right. It's not. It can't be a ton of teams that to invest those resources in 2 tackles. I want to say the Texans might be one of them, actually.
Texans, I think, might have it. I'm checking who their right tackle is, but I'm
fair enough.
Laremy Tunsil went 13 after quite a few.
No, he's definitely a first rounder.
And I want to say, oh man, I forget who the other one is. I want to say the other one was too. It wasn't Titus Howard. Was it Titus Howard? Yeah.
Was he a first rounder? I don't know.
I think he was. I believe he was. I don't know if he's lived up to that billing, but I believe he was. But that's a good point. It's a good point about how lopsided the talent advantage is for Texas.
You want to know why Alabama won all those national championships?
Yeah.
They had multiple first-round tackles multiple times.
So this would be the greatest offense. If that happens, this is the best offensive line in Texas football history then. It would have to be. I mean, who else would have 2 first-round tackles on the same old line and other draftable talent on the same old line too? That's right. That's no way that we've had.
I'm trying to think what Jonathan Scott, did he go in 2nd or 3rd round, Rod? You remember?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, because he was on that line with
Justin Blaylock.
Blaylock, yeah.
Blaylock stuttered.
Yeah, that's 3 right there. So that's 3 guys on the same line.
That was probably the best one in modern history, like in the last 30 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. But damn, it's crazy to think about. All right, getting back to the super chats here. Paxton, thank you, Paxton, for the super chat. Says Trey Wisner could have ran for 250 plus yards. He has the patience of a Jamal Charles, just a tad slower. Ooh, tad slower. I did see at Real Analytics he was clocked at 20. Was it 20.7 or 20.9? 20.9. Thank you, CJ. Miles per hour. So he can run. He says the patience of a Jamal Charles, just a tad slower, but Blue seems to have cement feet. I just think Blue relies on his speed as a rusher. That's his elite trait, and that's all he really knows. And we know that there's a lot more nuance to being a running back than just, hey, I can get the hole faster than everybody else. And that's literally the opposite of Trey Wisner's game. I was breaking down some of those 2 runs that he had in the Oklahoma game, the 36-yarder and like the 43-yarder, frame by frame. I mean, the 36-yarder, you should go. It ain't even open at first. Like it doesn't align and pop until he really, waits. He waits on it to open up. You can tell his vision is waiting to either cut it back or he's going to decide to take it wide. And he's just kind of waiting to see which one of the holes opens up, and then he sees it and he takes it. I don't know if Blue has that kind of patience to wait on whether he's going to cut it back. And I always feel like Blue almost makes his mind up before that. All right, I'm going. This is where I'm going. This is the hole I'm going.
Blue gets out over his skis on the outside zone. Yeah. And what I mean by that is he commits too early. He doesn't have a good pace to it.
Yep. Great word.
I would add this. The thing that I haven't seen Jaden Blue do enough is break tackles. He can run by people and run past people and make a juke in the open field to where he breaks an ankle on somebody that he has a line on, like he did against Michigan, right? The DB that was coming up in support, and he kind of just went by him. But has he broken tackles? I mean, what that long run that you just talked about, that first one or the second one, I can't remember which one now.
Oh, he breaks it.
Weisner broke a safety tackle that had him dead to rights.
Yep, he did.
And so Weisner breaks more tackles. Jamal Charles broke tackles, by the way. You know, some guys just get skinny really easily, or more easily than others. And I think that's my biggest thing is not so much the speed that when you start talking about running the football between the tackles or even outside, it's a sixth sense. It's not just vision. You can call it vision if you want to, but it's more than that. It's also feel. You know, it's having all those things pieced together. Patience is the other one they used.
Yep. I like that term, that pace, though. Some running backs say run. Trey Weisner runs with a really good pace for those plays, for that outside zone, that wide zone there. Smart right one. What was it? Smart right now one, I believe it is. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Says my GA insiders confirmed UJ is not making the trip. He won't come out of his dog. Uga is not making the trip. He won't come out of his doghouse. Was told Bevo wanted to say howdy. Isn't this a new Uga than the one I believe that was? Yes, almost pound on by.
That Uga does not have PTSD.
Yeah, it's a different Uga, I believe, than the one.
He's got that blind curiosity, which was almost, unfortunate for the first one.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel bad. I'm a dog guy, so I kind of feel bad for Uga on that one. All right, before we continue here, we're getting close to the end of our live streams. Let's thank our sponsor, Andy Ludke, one more time before we end it. If you're looking to diversify your portfolio, you may be someone like me that has their hands in multiple businesses. Well, Andy can help you diversify your portfolio by finding you businesses that will fit your time allotment and your financial goals. Call him or email him today. If you're stuck in the corporate rat race with just 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money you make or your schedule in general, call Andy and he will take you through a process to help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your financial destiny, call Andy today at 404-973-9901 or give him a shout via email at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. That's andy@myperfectfranchise.net. Thank you very much for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. All right, gentlemen, before we get out of here, I know you guys have talked about the recruiting weekend being one of the biggest weekends this for Texas in the history of the program. Actually, maybe the biggest recruiting weekend in Texas football history. The 2025 list of visitors, and some of these, I guess, are official. Some of these are unofficial. We do have a pretty. Thank you very much, Matthew. We appreciate that. We got a pretty good idea of who's coming, CJ, and are they adding to this list? Because we said about 50. Did you say 50 prospects are going to be at this game? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it's probably going to be more than that. You'll probably be up to about 75, maybe 80 when it's all said and done. But right now, these are some of the guys to focus on in the 2025 class. Justice Terry, the number one interior defensive lineman, 5-star caliber guy out of Georgia, making his official visit. Joseph Mbachu, current Florida commit, making his official visit. And it's going to be huge for Texas to get Kevin Wynn and Riley Pettijohn back on campus this weekend. Jonah Williams making his official visit already in the class, but certainly someone that Texas continues to be very confident in, and a 5-star guy that you've seen light it up already this year as a senior. Michael Terry back on campus. That'll be his second game this year. I'm starting to feel really, really good about where Texas sits for Michael Terry right now. And of course, you start to look at some of these other names, Javion Hilson, Malcolm Simpson. The front seven loaded with, SEC, Southeastern Conference area level talent. They're all coming in right now. And Texas, again, sitting with 21 commits, a top 5 class in the 2025 cycle. You're not going to be able to take everybody, but Texas is, pushing very heavily for some of the top players in all of the country right now. It's going to be interesting to see if there are any surprises coming in Saturday afternoon, because what we're seeing right now is the big, kind of more notable names. Those are the names that are out there right now. There are going to be a few of them that we don't have until they show up, and that's for good reason as Texas continues to try to chip away at a number of committed elsewhere guys in the 25 cycle. But yeah, overall a tremendous class. And in 26, it's not any lighter in terms of star power of guys coming in to see the Texas Longhorns in person this weekend against Georgia.
That is unbelievable. That number
Hey,
is.
I got to tell you this. Kevin Wynn is the culinary guy, right? And he's coming in this weekend.
Yeah, guess who's on campus?
Our producer's got an extra little thing for us. Guess who was at Texas football today?
Oh, look at that.
Gordon
Ramsay, baby.
Gordon Ramsay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice.
Yes.
Chef's kiss and recruiting right there.
Hey, Gordon Ramsay ate in Tallahassee, Kevin Wynn.
Damn right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's something. I know they got something signed for. Can they do that? Is that a violation or something?
I think it's probably a violation, but I think they tweeted that on purpose now.
Can we get him to make something? Come on now. Yeah, she's right. Why was he? I guess he's in town probably for Formula One, some stuff like that.
That's probably true. Probably big Formula One stuff.
But he stopped by Texas is the point, because he knew if you're in Austin, you got to stop by the University of Texas, because that's what Austin is all about.
That's what all the presidents do the same thing, or politicians.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
They got the PR cred. That's what they're doing.
I love it. They know
where it's at.
All right. Well, thank you guys for all your super chats. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the participation. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all the questions. Know you guys got a ton of great questions. So give them up for the folks, or save them for the folks for a coffee and football that'll be coming up at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Oh, don't forget, tomorrow we got a live remote, right, Bobby? We'll be at the Hole in the Wall from 6 to 8. All right. We're going to be out there. Lifetime Longhorn Bert Auburn also going to be out there, correct, Bobby? He's going to be out there.
Yeah, he will be signing autographs at Hole in the Wall from 6 to 7 tomorrow. Rod, you and I, as well as Jerry Hamilton, will be on site doing our Winning Drive podcast because that's going to be moved from 3 to 6 tomorrow to accommodate a meet and greet with Bert Auburn. Come on out. It's free, by the way. And the folks at Hargrove Roofing, our friends there, putting that on. Know who's on your roof from Hargrove Roofing. It should be fun. I have a lot of fun. I can't wait to get down to Austin tomorrow, guys. Ready to see the mothership.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. And have a safe trip, Bobby, of course. But guys want to come out there, the Hole in the Wall. It's at 2538 Guadalupe Street. If you want to know, just look it up, the Hole in the Wall. It's been there forever. All right. Thank you guys for all your participation. Really appreciate it. Like I said, save those questions for the folks at Coffee and Football, and we'll be doing the Winning Drive, basically that live stream live from the Hole in the Wall from 6 to 8. So we're moving that. Thanks to Matthew behind the scenes. We appreciate you. You're the real MVP, Matthew. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Andy Ludicky for sponsoring the show. Also, the carrotconcierge.com. Really appreciate them as well. And homefieldapparel.com. Thanks, Bobby. We appreciate all of your knowledge and time. CJ, you are the man. Appreciate all your hustle and hard work. And until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.